We got a Mosher Mailbag edition of Football at 4 today on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Your text messages have been asking Eagles questions for Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, and we will have Geoff answer those questions on today's edition of Football at 4. Don't forget, Knicks Nuggets are coming up at 4:30 today on the Sports Bash Live. Before we get to Mosher, let me tell you about my friends over at Game Day Men's Health. Reclaim your life with optimized testosterone, low T hitting hard. We feel you at Game Day Men's Health. It's enough to sideline any guy. Their expert team understands your frustration, and they're ready to help you reclaim your passion and purpose. Discover your T levels, create a game plan, and begin treatment. Come in today for your complimentary testosterone test and your consultation at Game Day Men's Health, EHT, 3069 English Creek Avenue. Get back in the game at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, I'm Mike Gill. It's the Sports Bash. It's a Mosher Monday edition. A Mosher Mailbag edition. We have more mailbag questions for Geoff Mosher that we didn't get to from Monday's segment. We got a lot of them today. So more came in over the last couple of days, and Geoff Mosher is back for today's Football at 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Mosher, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Mike, what's going on? How are you?
The people are speaking. They've got questions after this OTA yesterday. It was the final OTA, and a lot of questions off that for today's mailbag session. So let's dive right into it. Are you ready?
Yeah, I got questions too. I just wrote on Philly Voice, what are the 5 remaining questions for the Eagles here going into the break? So we all got questions.
All right. Well, we'll maybe hold that for Monday's edition, but we got a Mosher mailbag on this Wednesday. Geoff Mosher, what is the most intriguing position battle you're watching post-OTAs?
Oh, there's a bunch of them, but I mean, it's hard to say that it's not Adoree Jackson versus Keely Ringo for that cornerback spot. It's a very important position, and you can throw Cooper DeJean in there in base, but I mean, obviously they're going to be a nickel defense a lot. So, and if Cooper DeJean's a nickel, then it's between Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson, and we always talk about the critical year 3, and we'll have that conversation about Tyler Steen too, where it's time to step up if you're a draft pick and show what you've got and take control of a starting job. And I'm sure the Eagles want not Jackson, Keely Ringo to win the job. And you heard Vic say he just needs to play football. He needs to get more reps. He's been handsy at times, but there's no more time for that. Now it's time for him.
All right, there's a lot of questions in regards to those guys, so we'll kind of go down that realm. Is Keely Ringo really the favorite to win the starting corner opposite Mitchell? Thanks for answering, Geoff. Big fan.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Love the questions. I would say the favorite in so much that that's the player that the Eagles want to win the competition for obvious reasons of being younger, cost-controlled draft pick. So that's why he would be the favorite. And I'm sure when camp begins, you'll see a rotation there. So I wouldn't call it the heavy favorite. I'm always bad with trying to handicap lines like 2-1, 3-1, things like that. But, he's the favorite right now because that's what the team wants. But Adoree Jackson is right there nipping at his heels.
Okay, then that answer, this question came in as well. I thought I put these ones together because I think they're interesting. Geoff, more snaps week 1, Keely Ringo or Adoree Jackson?
Oh, boy. Now you're just basically asking me to predict who wins this thing out. And that's a tough thing to do because, no matter what I say, it really doesn't matter. That thing's got to play itself out. I'll give Keely the nod right now, but, that's not something I feel really confident about.
Okay. Geoff Mosher, how serious is the competition at linebacker? Can Jeremiah Trotter Jr. push for a starting role?
Well, I mean, there is no competition, unfortunately, for the Eagles. I'm sure they would tell you that right now. There's no competition at linebacker because there's not optimum health. Jacoby Dean is out. Jihad Campbell out until August, right? So when they're taking the field on the first day of July 25th, I think is the first practice, 24th, it's going to be Zach Bond and it's going to be Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And behind him, you're looking at a rookie in Smail Mondon. So there is no competition until everybody's healthy and playing and productive at the point, and that just kind of underscores how razor thin they are at the ILB position.
All right, Mosher Mailbag here on a Wednesday, football at 4. A lot of questions for Geoff Mosher. We'll try to get as many as we can here. Another linebacker question, a couple of linebacker questions here. Should Eagles fans be concerned about Nakobe Dean's role or injury history this season?
Yes. I mean, of course. Role, no, as long as he's healthy. Well, I understand the spirit of the question. I think comebacks from patellar tendons nowadays, we've talked to some experts about this on Inside the Birds, it's not as bad as it was, 5, 10, 15 years ago. So while I do understand people questioning how effective Nakobe will be when he's 100% compared to what he was last year, I think he'll be all right there. I mean, he's a player who is a smart football player, instinctive football player. I don't think that stuff gets lost when you have knee surgery, right? But the concern about his long-term durability is not a this season thing. That's why he went in the third round. I mean, we talked about that when they drafted him, and people thought, oh, man, this is a great steal. And it's like, yeah, it's a steal, but there's a reason he made it to the third round. And there were some other injury concerns that teams had about him that were beyond just, I think the shoulder at the time when he got drafted was what had kept him from working out at a pro day, if I recall correctly. They were just worried about his overall body and how he would hold up in the NFL. And so far, those concerns, you would have to agree, have been validated.
Absolutely. And this one was kind of a freak injury, though, where you get your patella up into your thigh area.
Yeah.
That's not something that you hear happen every day. Geoff Mosher, any chance the Eagles make another veteran signing before training camp, maybe a safety or a linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, linebacker for sure. I could see that happening. It's hard to believe that they're one injury away from Smile Mondon being a starter and, maybe more than one injury away from Mondon and then Dallas Gant being the guy. So this is the position that we've seen them upgrade a lot in these weeks before camp or even right at the start of camp in the first week, whether it was Zach Cunningham, Miles Jack, Nicholas Morrow last year came back, although not around this time, I think. But, yeah, that's the position they're going to have their eye on most. I think it's safety. They'll let some things – they've got names. They've got people there. But they're going to probably let some things play out first, competition-wise, to see if they feel the need to get another body.
All right, Geoff, how do you see the running back roles behind Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, it's varied, right? I mean, you have some different type of guys. A.J. Dillon, a big 250-pound bruiser. Will Shipley, a guy who has some juice, catches the ball well. Nothing like not built at all like A.J. Dillon. You got some interesting rookie free agents like Montrell Johnson. So there's a lot of names here. Obviously, they brought Lou Nichols back. He's not a very fast running back, as opposed to Johnson, who is a 4.3, 4.4 guy, but compactly built, contact leverage runner. So they have a bunch of different guys. The big question is behind Barkley, who's taking that spot or that role that was occupied by Kenneth Gainwell? Who's going to be good on third down? Who can pick up a blitz and pass protect? Who can catch the ball out of the backfield and put all that together? Be a 2-minute back, a 4-minute back. It's not really something that I think Dillon has specialized in his career with the Packers, and it's an area where I think Shipley can be really vital or really a role he can fit into, but he's got to learn blitz pickup and pass protection and show he can excel at that, which is he hasn't really done that throughout his college career or even last year.
All right, it's a Mosher Mailbag edition of Football 4 here on a Wednesday. This is an interesting one. Do you expect anything different from Jalen Hurts with Kevin Patullo now calling plays?
No, not really. I do think that they're going to try as many. I think they've tried before under different coordinators to open up the passing offense a little bit or try to get a little bit more vertical at times. I mean, they're clearly vertical down the sidelines, which is where Jalen Hurts is a really good thrower of the football. I think if you ask them, they would like to be a little bit more consistent in the passing game. And with that means, concepts, not just completions. So I imagine that you'll try to see that. But in general, the offense is going to be what it was. They're going to do what they do well, which is run the ball and, give the ball to Saquon Barkley.
Good formula, by the way, on that one.
Saquon
Barkley get the ball. Geoff Mosher, surprise cut candidate.
Surprise cut candidate. That is a great question. Surprise cut candidate. Well, I haven't given a whole lot of thought to that one because you have a lot of guys on 1-year deals. I'd like if Adoree Jackson got cut, I wouldn't be surprised. I guess Sidney Brown. If he really doesn't have. I don't. You're asking a surprise, so I'm trying to really think far outside the box. A guy who just doesn't fit into the scheme and system, and maybe they just like Makuba and McCullum and Well,
what about one of the edge rushers?
Well, I just don't think it would be a surprise if they cut someone like Uche or, Ojulari would surprise me. I think when healthy, he's a good player. The talent isn't the question. Uche, the talent is the question. He's really only had one good year and is on his third team in 3 years now. So I think it wouldn't be a shock to me if Uche didn't make it. Same thing with Dylan. It wouldn't be a shock to me with his injury last year that kept him out all year if he didn't make it.
By the way, sorry I haven't been mentioning the people's names here. I forgot to include them because this one I did include their name. So I'll give this guy the credit. Safer roster lock. This is a good question. Grant Calcaterra or one of the new tight ends, which would be Granson or Harrison Bryan. That's from Steve in Vineland. Who's more of a lock? That Calcaterra makes it or one of the other two?
No, I don't. I think that this is a great three-way competition for two spots, right? You've got Dallas Goedert, probably going to keep three total tight ends. I'll throw E.J. Jenkins in there because he can block, but he's a little bit of a dark horse.
So is there a possibility that the two tight ends they signed, neither one of them makes it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely possible.
Because originally,
1-year deal.
When originally the thought was Goddard wasn't going to be here, they signed the two tight ends, and you're thinking maybe both of these guys make it.
Yeah, I think that they were going to do that regardless, Mike, sign that many tight ends, because even if Goddard comes back, he's only back for a year, and the guys they signed were young and promising. So if they wanted to, they could see something that was good and have a good year, then you can work on that extension if you felt that it was going that way. But, obviously Calcaterra is in his contract year, right? This is year 4, if I'm not mistaken, for him. So maybe you give him the leg up because he's been in the offense. He's already established a rapport with the quarterback. And if he, continues to develop and play well, then maybe they can, see him as a number 2/number 3 tight end going forward and get him on some kind of team-friendly deal after the season. So that probably makes him a little bit more, I don't want to say lock, but a leader in the clubhouse over the two free agents that they signed. But it's certainly going to be a really good competition at camp.
All right, we got a couple more here. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. Who's the favorite to pick up the Milton Williams snaps?
Well, honestly, it's Moro Ajomo who started. I mean, Jalen Carter is already a starter, right? Jordan Davis is a starter in their 5-man front, which they run on first and second down. When they're in their 4-man front, which is like 65 to 70% of the game, Carter and Williams were the two interior rushers. So now it'll be Carter and Moro Ajomo. So this is what I wrote in my story today for Philly Voice is one of the big questions is, can Moro Ajomo give the Eagles anything close to the same type of production that Milton Williams gave them over the last 2 years, and especially last year when he was just outright dominant for a lot of the season? If not, well, then maybe that leads to more snaps for Jordan Davis, or you see Ty Robinson getting in there. Gabe Hall is a guy that we can't forget about. He's had a year under Clint Hurt and Vic Fangio now, and this is a kid that went undrafted last year, but everybody thought he should have been drafted and had a lot of good tools. So there's some options here, but number one, the first guy to get that responsibility is going to be Moro Ajomo.
All right. Of course, you can check out ITB. The latest ITB is out on all podcasting platforms. Check out Geoff Mosher's coverage of the Eagles as well over at phillyvoice.com and insidethebirds.com. And, of course, Football at 4 powers you through the summer with your Eagles and football fix here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. We'll talk plenty more about all things NFC East and Eagles moving forward today. The NFC, of course, everybody chasing the Eagles and their Super Bowl championship. But the repeat is now on, and we will be covering it here on Football at 4. All right, Mosher, appreciate it, man.
Hey, Mike, just so you know, Brandon Graham, we're going to have Brandon Graham on Inside the Birds tomorrow morning. It'll be out, and he answered. Just because we asked the same questions, he had a lot of good answers to many of the questions that were asked here by me today. So look out for Brandon Graham on Inside the Birds tomorrow,
Nice.
and really, really good interview.
All right, check that out on all podcasting platforms,
Thanks.
on the ITB, and also, of course, here on Football at 4. We'll see what Brandon Graham has to say. There's Geoff Mosher here on the Sports Bash.